All right. New year. All that good shit. I think I'm gonna turn this into more of a journal style. Follow along if you follow along. Talk more about the things that I see and um, just kind of use it as a record. So months down the line, I can try to perfect things throughout the cycle and get the most out of things. Um, Look at BTC first. And then there was some confluence on altcoins that was very interesting. RSI 63, still healthy. Weekly still over 70. Can't get over 44. Can't get under 42. 41.5. Same story. Um, the daily paints the chop very well within this channel here. It's a little triangle consolidation, even though a couple deviations on the upper and lower parts of the formation. That's just crazy crypto, man. Liquidating anybody who's trying to, you know, get it all early instead of accumulating throughout the year. Very common before a big move happens. ETF around the corner. They're trying to say that it might get approved by Wednesday. Can only assume how powerful that news is going to be. But we'll have to wait and see. Next week will be a little more of an interesting update. But as far as BIT goes, BIT is just kind of chopping. So I want to look at two things, alts and cash. Look at cash first. Still moving downward. No momentum turning yet on the monthly, but a chance that it could be trying to bottom out here on RSI on the monthly. Weekly touch 200. Attempting to turn over a MACD, but pretty far below it and at all-time lows, I believe, on MACD. So a lot of work to turn this around right now. Cash is in a really bad position. Any turnaround whatsoever, same deal. It's a lot easier to fall than it is to recover. But as I say that, it's over 50. Cash is over 50 on the daily. So small time frame, you're seeing some things change. You're seeing the landscape change a lot as far as the market-wide cash position. First change since mid-October. So that's something to keep in. Definitely gonna watch this on a day-to-day. See how the dip reacts to the news Wednesday. And yeah. Now for alts. So here's immediately what I noticed. Inverse head and shoulders, of course. Monthly is, it's right in your face. Previous cycle. Inverse head and shoulders. Right there. Now, I've already looked at the charts earlier this week. And from what I saw, September of 2020 is most similar to where we're at. And you can see clearly, the fractal here. You can see this pump in August, and we got this pump in December. Now, previous cycle, alts kind of went through damn near a month of giving dominance away to Bitcoin as Bitcoin ran away. Ran from, 10K to like 40 before this really reacted in January. I'm just guessing that number, but it was a pretty wild run. If this played out the same way, you could be looking at a last chance buy the dip over the course of the next couple of months. That could be possible. I know a lot of these coins have already dipped quite a bit. Um, but as far as a market-wide situation goes, the dips are either going to V-bottom or they're going to already be there and just kind of accumulate, on the ground. And I'll look at some random charts here in a sec. But that's what it's looking like here. The monthly trend is still intact. Green guppy sitting above all the EMAs. We broke out of a really bullish structure, and the retest line is here at 1140. Let's come down on the weekly low. On the weekly, I gotta get rid of some of these lines, man. Yeah, well, fuck it. On a weekly, looks like the weekly came down to tap the 200 EMA before it took off and went into dip. And you can see this structure right here this is what I'm looking at as far as the market goes. Your trail up, and then this dip right here. It looks crazy. It looks retarded, but it's only important after such a continuation right here. You get this run up right here, you get this dip, the continuation is likely, especially if you're coming off of the bottom. So for this to be bottom would mean we're coming off of this. We had an entire run pretty much the entire year. As far as alts, about half the year, most of them. So if this wants to break structure, maybe it'll break this and come down here to test the 200. And Guppy says it'll probably get front ran and stopped here at about 1140. And a third level of support is this, whatever you want to call this goddamn channel, this upward rising wedge kind of. We'll see if this holds, We'll see if this holds by next week and the weeks following. But yeah, fractals are important, especially on large time frames. This is already such a cyclical market. For alts to be performing the same way, such a wide time frame, something you don't want to ignore. And it's not hard to see an ETF being approved and market-wide sentiment kind of green beating its way throughout most of the year, and we see prices appreciate. Right now, really got to wait on the ETF and see how the market wants to respond to it. See how these new market makers, when they enter the market, see how they want to play games with Bitcoin while they accumulate it. It's going to be interesting. Most of this year is going to be interesting. Yeah, so the way I see it, looking at this, this is a sell the rumor, buy the news kind of situation. We all feel like the ETF is coming. We don't know when, we don't know how it's going to happen. But we're being told, X, Y, and Z from people that are really close to it. But we don't know until you know. So, let me take a look at some of these alts real quick. Just kind of look at the structure. And these are just really random situations. So, what do I want to look at? Daily. Daily's fine. So daily since about October. October is when most of these rallies kicked off. Something like Trias. Going through some consolidation, but looking pretty weak. Like it could, without some help, it could be over there for now, for short term. Uni has been fighting its own 200 EMA on the daily for a long time, but this is one of its best attempts at getting over it so far, and you see it's coming back here to test. So Uni at this level will be interesting, and I'm going to assume most of these alts are going to end up looking the same. This 200 EMA is such a great tool, in my opinion. You know, been under it the entire bear market. So this is an interesting inflection point. Um, Great place to take bids, if you believe, but a key level to watch either way. Just taking a look at some decent alts. VChain had its run up. That same style dip I was talking about earlier with the run up. You know, you got your dip, but generally you can expect continuation if the market is still generally bullish. So who knows if these want to capitulate or almost liquidate some people just to get to a certain level. Maybe they get front ran, but we're not going to really know until the ETF comes. And Sunday now, Wednesday is probably when you hear something. You know, you might have a blood Monday, you might have something crazy Tuesday and Wednesday. There's a lot of reason for these to keep bleeding and give anybody possible a final entry, especially when you're dealing with trillion-dollar market makers and asset managers that are trying to get their teeth into this shit. If they're gonna buy, this is the type of time that they're gonna buy on. XRP looks like dog shit, but you know, XRP moves one time and one time only. It's during an alt season. So if it hasn't moved, that means it ain't been enough, you know. So old coin with just not a whole lot to give. So let's get to the newer coins. Ticker Bitcoin, that Harry Potter meme bullshit. There's only one coin on Ethereum with the ticker Bitcoin. So the obvious play on words and the play on retail coming through has generated much of this success here. On top of it just being a random fucking meme. It's tested this 200 and you see it's holding quite a bit, but red guppy starting. Who knows what that does? We'll have to see. For now, that's holding. These are some random micro caps. Really nothing going on here. Not much going on there. This is something pumping off of one of its bottom prices, going through a couple of continuations. Crossing 50 on RSI. Fighting with the 200, but starting to pull it up. Very volatile asset there. Kent, one of my low-key favorites, just because of how tortured and depressed this chart is. The bear market killed this, but the chart was launched at the beginning of the last bear market. So I love these coins, man. And all they did was dip hard when they were supposed to, and now they're gonna have their first season ever. So I've seen this bitch run up from quite a bit. Testing 200 now. See how it wants to react to that, but good sign breaking through that 200 there. Another one here, random. Very depressed here. Got some blue dots on the daily with a red guppy. Could be a decent buy, but better coins out there. These new coins, they don't need too much of a narrative to go. These dips after a continuation, once again, you know, this one's on a huge time scale. So odds are it breaks out a continuation. Have to wait on ETF. These are all very fragile when it comes to ETF news. This one's got a Head and Shoulders that started to activate after an 100x, something like that. Super volatile asset, but this is probably one of the clearest charts as far as what the future might look like for some of these how these new coins come out of nowhere and perform so crazy. They do shit like this. They get their run up, they get their first dip. Now you have an entire year to ask yourself, where is this shit gonna be priced at? Um, Coins that don't do shit, that are just scams and this, that, and the third, they're barely gonna take this long. An entire year to even bump up like that. They would have been bled out. The ones that actually do make it, you'll have plenty and plenty and plenty of upside as they steal market share now from competitors and XYZ. All of these are on chain. Most of them are on chain. You gotta take your money on chain and get these. Um, if you get them from an exchange, cool. Blah blah. Like Solana, for example. Probably one of the most powerful coins in the space, and it's making its mark. Talking to ETH right now, ETH has been lacking for a lot of people, and you see what one of the strongest altcoins in the market is looking like. All right, I followed this 21 for most of the time, and it just broke it here. So, as far as trading wise goes, profits would have been great to take around 100. This right here, if there were no bullish news around the corner, really wouldn't be a good look, especially with this coming under 50 for the first time. But you got to stay aware with the underlying sentiment being so positive. You gotta be aware and not get shaken out too much on a strong ass coin like that. Casper is super strong. It's been quiet over the last couple of months, but that's just the name of the game. When it runs, it's loud. So Casper's a really, really powerful coin. Top 25 now. So is Rune. A lot of these are just going through their first dip after coming off the bottom, is what I'm saying. Tau, strong AI coin, brand new, ran 60 to 360, and going through his first dip. You gotta make these purchases if you want to make all this money that everybody else is running around. You gotta make these purchases when you see shit like this. And you can't really time or call a dip. That's what makes them so weird. You could buy the shit now when you got your money, but it's probably just gonna keep dipping. You don't know if it's gonna liquidate down to here or if it's gonna try to end here before it turns around. You don't know. And the musical chairs of it all is, if it is over, try to start looking something like that, and you'll know in May whether or not this shit is over. All right. So a simple EMA to get in and out of is probably what's best. Or if you're really dealing with a catalyst like a Bitcoin ETF, a spot ETF, you got to take things into consideration. INJ is really not dipping at all. It looks heavy, but it's very strong to just not be selling off. It hasn't even sold off to 21. Very strong coin. Celestia looks good. If you don't know much about the Cosmos ecosystem, interoperability is what they're going for. So there's a lot of shit going on over here. Modular technology and shit, and XYZ. Say has been strong. Same shit. SNX, a little bit of an older coin, but the volatility is pulling this 200 up. It's a good sign, and you're getting the first dip and first touch of it actually, bending that shit the other way after being down only entire bear market. DYDX chopping, but trying to turn around. Ordinals have been making a lot of noise. the chart is showing. Pretty easy support and resistance chart there. Roll bit. I'm sure this will still do well. It just had such a great fucking run, from 2 cents to 20. I don't know. Who knows what this will do? 0x0 not really dipping. Some more cosmic. Another super depressed chart. It's only going up if there's some sort of optimism in the market. And you got it. Pretty much all of this starting from delayed October. Attacking this 200 EMA right now and holding it. Most of these are looking the same. Like they've gone through move number one. 2023 was basically move number one for a lot of these coins, whether they moved in the early part of the year or the latter or the later part of the year. I'm seeing your first opportunity to buy a dip if you believe that this situation can be bullish for the rest of the year. So yeah, you can start scraping up some cash and sitting patient and getting ready to add to your spot bags when the charts do start to look better. Let's look at total. MACD zero line is being breached finally by orange signal. So this month we'll try to actually finish that out. Sitting up at 60. I don't know how I drew that shit a long time ago, but I hope this doesn't mean I drew this shit a long time ago. This shit shouldn't mean anything, but stopping there is crazy. Let's see how that goes. Above 70, but it looks really heavy on total. And 50 is being breached right now as we speak. So market wide, these are really the levels of where the blood really starts to kick in. And depending on how much money you got on the side, whoever these whales might be, the dip doesn't stop until they start to buy. Period. That's how it goes. Unless there's a certain level where there's a lot of interest, it's got to be a whale or a few whales to make these purchases. So for right now, they're letting it drop. We got to respect that. And wait to get this ETF out the way so we can just trade naturally. Let the green light kind of hit the economy and let the world see that this superpower bully of the US dollar has decided to green light one of the youngest, most ambitious assets of all time. Let's get this shit out the way and see what happens by next week.